Hello everybody and welcome to the fourth round of the J2ICS GT3 Championship, the Parabolic Companies GT3 Sprint Championship here this season. It's time for round 4 and the champions pick, which we have every season. This time round it's been chosen that we go to the Charlotte Roval, which is an interesting choice within itself. But we've also got weather conditions. It is raining here tonight, which is set to make it even more difficult for the drivers, as you can see on the right hand side there. 25% rain at the moment, and it's moderately wet according to that graphic there. Maybe some of the drivers will disagree with that by the end of tonight. We'll wait and see. It's myself, Ewan O'Leary, Chris Murphy in commentary here tonight with Biggles behind the cameras this time around. Good to be alongside you for this, Chris. It's always an interesting circuit actually at Charlotte Roval. I don't mind it actually, of all the Rovals in the world. However, the rain is an added curveball there that even the drivers' champion who picked this won't have been quite expecting it to be this difficult here for round 4.
Great to be with you again this week, Ewan. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I heard this described as European finesse meets American hold my beer. This is going to be interesting tonight. I've been watching practice quite a bit. This weather is definitely going to give these drivers a handful. Seen a lot of drivers spin out, especially exiting the Roval and entering that last chicane right before the start-finish line. So looking for a really interesting night. We've seen Dickinson has won every race this series so far, and he is leading right now in qualifying. So let's see if he can stay up on the pole and see if he can see if anybody can contend with him here tonight. His weather, a lot of times the weather's an equalizer, so let's see if that comes into play tonight.
Well, there are the standings been popping up on your screen. Joshua Spears just in second place with a 23-point deficit. Then Simply Steve, who is in third at the moment. That's a couple of places gained actually for Joshua Spears, by the way, compared to the round before, because Beaver, I'm not sure whether was he maybe not here at Interlagos, I can't remember now, but he's now 4 points away. Next in line, by the way, fourth position is Not Levin after round 3, and then Prince Adam, who rounds out the top 5, tied for fourth place indeed with Not Levin there. So 37 points off of Sean Dickinson, who is leading the way by some margin, and looks like it's going to continue to lead the way by some margin as well, based on the way this season has been going. We'll wait and see though, of course. Let's have a look at the team standings as well, and unsurprisingly SimCity Racing leading by a very long way here. 6 starts, 3 poles, 3 wins, 5 top 5s out of the 2 of them, 6 top 10s. So in the top 10 every time, only outside this for top 5 once, and that was for Joshua Spears a few weeks ago. So SimCity Racing leading by some way. As we were talking about before we came to air here, Chris, it's been absolutely dominant from Sean Dickinson so far, and it's going to take something absolutely massive for him to have that title taken away, and maybe even a single race win taken away. It might take quite a lot for him to even knock him off the top step of the podium, even on 1 week.
He's been really impressive all season long. Right now, looking right now in practice, I watched him in practice, and here in qualifying here at the Roval, and he's got a second gap on the field right now. It's maybe Joshua Spears or Teagish can get up there and give him a chance, but I think it's really, as we come into every race right now, it's Dickinson's race to lose until he makes a mistake.
Yeah, it absolutely is. As you say, the gaps are large as well. The qualifying rules have been changed for this week and the weeks going forward as well. So before, it was open qualifying for 15 minutes with as many laps as you wanted. Now it's a 20-minute session, which we're just on the other side of halfway from, and only 6 timed laps can be set. So, should give a chance to give everybody clean air and whatever. What it has done, though, is just sent everybody out there straight away, and then nobody's out there at the moment. So, you're probably better off waiting a little bit and then setting your lap times. We're on board at the moment with Bot 14, who is currently on lap 5 of 6, but I think this is a decent move from the organisers to just try and space things out a little bit, but they can only do so much here. And the drivers have decided that in the first 10 minutes they all wanted to be out there on the circuit. Now it's much quieter, where those who are a little bit smarter, if I can put it that way, have decided to wait a little bit, and they've come out, to set their lap times towards the end of the session.
Yeah, maybe a little bit later here in the session, you can get out there. Maybe you get enough cars out there early, kind of maybe dry off the track a little bit for you, give you an opportunity. But the rain's coming down so hard right now. I don't think it's going to make any difference. I think the conditions are staying the same from the start of qualifying to the end. I don't see anybody out there late. Donovan just moved up to third right now as he's out there making his laps. But I don't think early or late's going to really make that big of a difference. If you have the pace, you're going to be up towards the front.
Bouncing over the final curves for bot 14, and he's going to move up from 21st into 20th. Still a lap to go. Notvin, though, is going to be posing the most problems for those at the front of the field. He's coming through the back straight chicane now, and he might be able to separate the two teammates, first and second. He's got still 2 laps after this one if he wants to use them, and he's got time to use them as well. It'll only take him another 3 minutes, so he's got plenty of time. Just over 6 minutes to go. Gets on the brakes now. Into the puddles. Over the first curve, over the second. These GT3s can take it, and they just run a little bit wide on the way towards the wall. Is that much of an improvement for Notvin? It is, but doesn't move up to second place. Even actually getting between those two SimCity racing cars is going to be very, very difficult here in this qualifying session by the looks of it. But he's fighting for it here. Look at the way he's fighting the wheel through this first sector of the track. These conditions are making this car very, very difficult to drive.
A lot of oversteers through the Roval right there. I'm looking at his sector times. He's actually right there with Dickinson and Spears through sectors 1 and 2 and 3. He's losing some gap on that last sector 4 by almost a full second. So you can see, like you said, the conditions are tough. A lot of oversteer cars, as we call it here in the States, just driving the car loose off the corners, especially through that Roval. He does a good job of exiting the Roval right there, up into the first high bankings there through what would be turns 1 and 2. Looking really good out there right now. See if he can improve his lap time and move up. See if, like you said, split those teammates.
I wonder if he's just honing it down a little bit to just cool the tyres on lap 5 so he can have one last go at lap 6 maybe. We'll see. Bot 14 moves up to 5th place. That's the end of the session there for Logan McKinsey. I believe it's Logan McKinsey anyway. Hasn't had a nickname before. But yeah, Notvin seems to me just slowing down a little bit to set up for one last lap time. And then we're not going to have too much to watch out there. Beaver is going to be our only driver out there on the circuit. Looks like it as Notvin now comes over the line. This is going to be a time well in the 29:30s, something like that. After just slowing down a little bit. In fact, I don't think it counted at all. So one last chance then for Notvin. Just less than 5 minutes to go. He's got the track to himself, basically, which is the real advantage of waiting so long here.
And he heads through the Roval right here. Looks like being really good control. Gets out there on that outside curbs there, and it keeps the car straight. Not loose right now. Doing a good job through the corners here. You can see him kind of fighting the wheel a little bit. I think it's going to be a good lap if he can keep this pace up, get through this Roval, get up on the high banks, get up on the high speeds there.
Slid his way through that first part, just actually giving him some decent lines through turn 7 there. And I believe it's still called turn 7 now anyway, just turning it into one corner. And then, yeah, on the high banking, now underway over 200 kilometres an hour, on the way now down towards the back straight chicane. A lot tighter than what it was when this circuit was first introduced 7 years ago now, if I'm not mistaken. Down to second, look at that, first gear, sliding left and right, and grazing the wall as well. That probably is the end of the session now. That lap time surely won't count after that contact with the wall.
Just overdrove the car just a little bit, getting into that chicane, lost it, got a little sideways, and then just fought it through the rest of the way. And like you said, he's giving it up right now, just going to pull into pit lane right there.
I didn't really have much choice. So that's the end of that. This is Beaver, who's got one of the only lap times, really, one of the only drivers with lap times still to go, and Dan Carrido as well, the only other driver out there on the circuit. So hopefully in the future weeks, this is going to be a lesson to all of those drivers who rushed out immediately at the start of the 20 minutes to do their 6 laps. Now, admittedly, over the rest of the season, the laps are going to be slower generally than this, so you might not have as much time at circuits like Daytona, Sebring, certainly Bathurst, where you'll need at least 12 minutes just for your flying lap times. But around a circuit like this, a shorter circuit like this, you know, we have got a few more of later on this season. You want to maybe wait a little bit longer, as Beaver hasn't got accustomed to these conditions at all. He's going to pull off to the side of the circuit. That looks like the end of his session with still more than 2 minutes to go. This is Dan Carrido's final lap time of the session as well, completely on his own out there.
I'm looking down the list, and it looks like one of our favorites that's ran really well the last couple races, Squilliam, has not even got out there and made a lap yet. So like you said, Dan Carrito, the only car on the racetrack right now, has got it wide open to himself. His first couple lap times were way off the pace, a couple seconds off the pacer. Let's see if he can find some speed.
That's the first bit of the chicane quite harshly. And did he
struggled.
graze the wall there maybe as well? Not sure, but he's going to improve, I think. No, maybe not. Maybe not. Heartburn turn. What's that about? Anyway, that looks like it's going to be the end of qualifying. About a minute and a half to go. In that minute and a half, of course, I'll tell you, and of course, thank the sponsors, Parabolic Companies, who have made the latest season of the J2ICS series possible. At Parabolic Companies, we don't just invest in real estate, we build momentum. From revitalizing neighborhoods to powering progress through innovative development, our mission is to create lasting impact in every community we touch. Whether it's laying foundations or backing fierce competition on the virtual track, Parabolic brings precision, passion and performance. Parabolic Companies, grounded in growth, driven to win. That is, of course, our title sponsor this season, the Parabolic Companies GT3 Championship here at J2ICS this season. Biker Pilot said in YouTube chat, and a good evening to him, that Squilliam said he won't make it because he's having in real life rain issues, as well as the rain on the racetrack, which is affecting his internet. So maybe won't be able to race here today, unfortunately. It would be a shame for him, because he would certainly be one of those to challenge the two Mustangs up towards the top as well, but not tonight, it looks like, for him. Beaver seems to be out there again, although this is not a flying lap. It's over the line with 10 seconds remaining, unsure as to whether he's going to be able to complete this lap again, or whether he's just going to be pulled before the end of the session here. But 20 minutes is now going to end. No, he won't get the chance to carry on. So that will be the end of that. And he pulls into pit lane at the end of the 20-minute session. So now we'll go into a 5-minute warm-up session, and then we'll be in the race. Warm-up here, Chris, is not going to be too different really to the qualifying session that we've just seen, but it's going to feel a lot busier out there again suddenly. I think Chris has left his mute on, so
yeah, thank you for that. Technology goes by me sometimes. That should be interesting here. Go right ahead.
I didn't really have anything else to say. I was just filling the space until we could hear from you again. But yeah, no, they'll be out for warm up again now, and it'll be just 5 minutes of milling about really before the race actually starts.
I don't know if it's really warm up really does you much good here. Do you need to get out and put a little heat into these rain tires? Because by the time by the time we slow down for the pace lap and the rolling start, they'll probably just cool off again anyway. So
it would be cool if it did make a difference, but it doesn't. 41% is the percentage of rain, which seems a little bit heavier than what it was earlier on, and pretty warm track temperature considering it's raining. Normally when you see rain, it's very, very cold on the track, but slightly warmer temperatures. No, I've not done any rain driving actually in iRacing. I'm not sure if you have, but the tyre temperature surely is going to be a big problem. And if that tyre temperature is about 10 degrees higher than certainly what I'm used to watching and seeing here in wet weather conditions, certainly used to seeing sort of 19 degrees Celsius, something like that. It's 32 degrees Celsius right now, which is somewhere in the 90s Fahrenheit and high 80s, low 90s. So it's a lot warmer than what we're used to in the wet weather. And if these tyres are going to struggle for temperature, and the temperature is going to go too high for them, it'll be a real factor over the course of an hour-long race.
Yeah, the East Coast of the United States, even in the summertime like this, when we get some rain, it stays hot. So it doesn't surprise me the track condition is that warm. You're going to see. I think what you're going to see is the if there is any kind of dry spots at all on the racetrack, going to heat up those tires. We may see drivers kind of trying to find some puddles to cool the tire temperatures down as the race wears on. But it looks like this rain's going to hold on for the whole hour. Once we get going here, it looks like the forecast, I don't see it slowing down. But definitely going to be interesting to see if, you know, I would guess we probably make it the whole way on one set of tires.
I just say the forecast. Well, it says not suggest the forecast right now. It says suggesting that it's not raining, but clearly. Oh no, it is. Sorry, yeah. It is 100. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong column. I was looking at overcast, cloudy. I think, where's the rain?
I was looking at the same thing with you.
But no, I'm just. You know, I was reading left to right and getting too excited before I worked all my way around to the right. So there you go. But 100% chance of rain. It is absolutely guaranteed. It's just the percentage of rain. And there's something that might be worth practicing, and some of the guys are. Pit lane, a bit unusual here. Oval drivers amongst you will be very familiar with this kind of pit entry. But a lot of these drivers are GT3 drivers, certainly road course drivers more often than not, and that sort of pit entry is a bit alien to a road course driver.
Hey, high speed dropping down off that last corner down into the pits. That's a pretty high. You know, you're coming off that banking at a pretty high rate of speed, and trying to get slowed down into the pits is definitely going to be different. But I think these guys can handle it. You know, we've a lot of experienced drivers in this league, but definitely going to be something for them to get used to. But I don't expect maybe more than 1 or 2 stops at the most, I would think.
It should just be the one stop here today. That should be a 47, 48 lap race, something like that, and the pit stop window should be something around anywhere between 15 minutes into the race and 45 minutes into the race, because the fuel limit can actually stretch you further than some of the other circuits, because it is raining here. This means that there's less fuel needed to be taken, and it also means that the tyre change is going to be unlikely as well. The tyre equation becomes a lot different when you're on the wet tyres. We've spoken often in the dry weather races about whether you change tyres, what advantage that gives you, etc. But here in the wet, you just want to keep the heat that you've already got in your older wet tyres, and they shouldn't burn off too quickly.
Yeah, we're sitting there watching warm-ups, watching a lot of drivers still struggling here, even though they've had a lot of, they've had 4 hours of practice and the qualifying. Still seeing some of these drivers struggling to get off the corners. A couple spinning out, especially coming off into that last chicane down the front straightaway.
That'll be the end of that then. The warm-up session. Kind of just had one of those in the qualifying, but anyway. Let's have a look at the starting grid then before they get rolling and underway for this race. Dickinson and Joshua Spears on the front row together, already over a second off though, and Notvin and Chigis, the only ones within 2 seconds of pole. Bob 14 is ahead of Bob Nova on row 3, ahead of Sector and Zach. Long Island Nerd and Bob Wallace rounding out the top 10. Nicolette and Sneezy Jr. sharing row 6. Liverbag is in 13th place ahead of Sassy with his Dallas and Corndog on row 8, Cat Daddy and Jen, and then on row 9 ahead of Not a Supra and G-Bait. And Carido rounds out those just outside the top 20, with Garlic Dog next. Beaver and Pebble on the next row ahead of Ted. Squilliam and Deceiver of Gods may not start. They certainly didn't qualify. We saw from Squilliam that, or we heard at least from Biker Pilot, who told us that Squilliam may have issues with internet because of weather here in real life today, as Dickinson has dropped right to the back of the timing screen. Not a clue why that's happened, or if we can see anybody actually. They've all disappeared. Oh, here they go. Where is Dickinson? Because Joshua Spears has made it out at the front, all right, but Dickinson is not at the moment in this field. Neither is Notovin, by the way, who qualified in 3rd place. He seems to have disappeared. Dickinson seems to have disconnected, as far as I can see. I don't see where Dickinson is in this session, unless he stopped somewhere. Oh no, he stopped. So what has gone on here? Why has he decided to stop? Nicolator has also decided to stop from pit lane as well.
Did somebody offer him $50 to start in the back?
Oh, yeah, Penny says he's starting from the pit lane on purpose. So, yeah. I mean, he could probably still win from here, given the fact he just took pole by a second.
Yeah, I don't see why he couldn't. If it's going to be hard to get through. There's going to be a lot of just getting through this field is going to be challenging if that is what he's doing. There's going to be a lot of cars spinning to miss out to try to miss. But if you can start in the back and just avoid everybody else's mistakes, it'd be fun to watch.
I'm slightly enjoying Tigish's window banner, I must admit, windscreen banner. But anyway, there you go. There's Tigish. Very, very popular joke.
I'm kind of with him.
No, but that's because you don't live in the developed world, like the rest of us. So anyway, oh yeah. I was going to. I was trying to find how many kilometres this circuit is, so I can tell him exactly what a kilometre is, but I couldn't find it in time, so that joke's slightly lost, and it's too late now anyway. So there you go. But he'll start on the other side from Joshua Spears, and of course a decent chance to lead early on as well between those two Mustangs. Just a case now as to how quickly Dickinson can work his way through the field. Or not. We'll see whether he can go right from the back to the front. I suspect that he will be able to make 22 overtakes and win this race, to be honest with you, Dickinson, but let's wait and see. It'll be a nice surprise for us if somebody else wins after the first 3 rounds, but who knows what's going to happen here at the Charlotte Roval. It's the Champions Pick Week in the Parabolic Companies J2ICS GT3 Championship here this season.
Green flag.
It's time for Joshua Spears to get us underway. He's been given his own row very nicely by Tigish and Bot 14. Oh, he immediately spins in the Corvette, and there's going to be carnage in the background here. They're going to all come to a stop, surely. And there's going to... Oh, one of the Porsches just has to drag themselves through that Corvette there. Bot 14 and Sector both going for a spin out of the final turn. And that is the worst possible way they could have started this race.
You had to be really easy on the throttle coming off that last chicane to the start-finish line to start that race, and you see about half a dozen drivers there just were not soft enough on the throttle pedal. Got on it just a little bit too hard, spun the tires, and around they went.
Well, that's going to be most of the way that most of these positions are going to be gained by Dickinson. To be honest, in 23rd at the moment, that will readjust. He won't be 23rd already. He'll be moving through the field, but yeah, that's going to be how you gain most of the places here. Just stay on the road for an hour. It's going to be difficult to control. These cars will be very, very hard to control. And I mean, look at the spray as well, even visibility-wise as well. It's very, very difficult to see where any of these guys are really going.
It looks like the rain actually might be coming down a little bit harder as we look at Long Islander here. Yeah, look at that. That's a pretty tough view. You're right. You're tucked right up underneath the car in front of you. Oh, he's gonna. I think he's got. Yeah, as you can see, his visibility was so poor he didn't know where that corner was. He just really misjudged that.
He's just taken out Wallace as well there, unfortunately, and so that'll be a meatball for Long Island Nerd as well. They both get meatballs, of course. After that was a spectacular crash down at the final chicane there on the back straight. Look at this, you just can't really see anything here. eBay we're on board with in 10th position. Yeah, this is definitely wetter than the before, and now there's more spinners. Paperbag and Sneezy Jr. have both gone for spins out of the final chicane. It looks like all of the chicanes are where the trouble is so far.
Yeah, you're going so slow through that chicane, so as soon as you try to speed back up, you know you're going to come out of that chicane, hit the high bank, and you want to get as much speed as you can out of there. And these drivers just not being patient, just getting the throttle just too hard, spinning the tires, and a little bit of chaos here to get through the first couple of laps.
On board with JPBroadcasting. Look at the positions gained here, up 12. A couple of those, of course, from by default, but that's a good way to start. They now all slow right up through turn 6, turn 5 and 6. Now this is 7, and on towards 8, and then onto the oval again as they all queue up behind the McLaren of Sassy. This is the highest up battle in the field, by the way. Oh dear, what's that kind of effect?
Snowing on the screen, yeah.
Yeah, mate. Never seen that before. Anyway, outside for Jen will stay in front. Let's hope that braking markers are spotted on the way towards the final chicane this time, or on the back straight chicane this time, I should say. And they are indeed. It's a good run, though, from GB on Catlady on the exit of the chicane. Outside line for GB. That'll be the worst place to be as Joshua Spears drops back to he's dropping away with some connection problems at the moment. That was close to contact. GB can't work his way past, though. Will there be anybody spun out of the final corner this time? No, not quite. And he tries to get the run out the final corner, but he's only just about alongside. He is properly alongside, and so he's going to try and go through. The timing screen is not happy. I don't know what's going on, but anyway.
A little bit. Yeah, it looks like Joshua Spears lost. He fell back to about fourth. Looks like he spun out coming out of that final chicane right across the start-finish line.
Well, it can't be true that Ted's leading by nearly a minute. No, that isn't true. So Tegish apparently leading. We'll try and get a view as to what happened to Joshua Spears if we can at some point. But yeah, this is battle for 8th place now as GB has taken that position away. Let's have a look at the start of the race. And well, we saw this live between top 14 out of the final turn. Not even really far up the curb, just really went for a spin. And yeah, another Corvette in the background went for a spin as well, and everybody was able to avoid as well, which is the good thing.
Looked like they had that all planned out, just a nice little synchronized spin off the last corner right there.
And this is what happened down into the final chicane. Bob Wallace braking way too late. Oh my word. And you just get the feeling that might have made that worse as well by barreling over the curves, but what else can you do? The Porsche there taken out. Sorry, that Black Bob Wallace was the Porsche taken out, sorry. Not of it. Who was in the Corvette? I don't know, but whatever. Anyway, this is what happened to Joshua Spears through the final corner. A very similar spin, and one that we're going to see a bit more of, I would imagine, tonight.
Yeah, I think what he did right there is he caught that curb down on the inside, exiting the chicane, which got the car upset, and then didn't really get the car settled back down, got back on the throttle, and just spun it around.
Maybe it's a bit easier in certain manufacturers than others. We've seen Corvette and Mustangs particularly having issues through there, especially Corvettes. But Tegas now leads, and in the stakes of coming through the field again, Dickinson is where is he? I'm totally blind, so I can't find him.
21st right now.
21st, there we go, thank you. Yes, has he been given that lap back that he should have been yet? No, he hasn't actually been given that lap back yet, so he should be up around 15th or so when this all sorts itself out, but we'll see whether that lap is actually given to him or not. Normally it sorts itself out after a couple of laps, but at the moment it's not quite sorting itself out as quickly as you might expect. Anyway, these are the guys who are battling it out for the highest position in the field. This is a train right from 5th place on backwards.
Yeah, looking back through the field, I thought not Dickinson would be further up through the field. Where is he at physically on the racetrack without his lap back? Have we found him anywhere?
Big slide across the circuit. That was Jen, who just broke a bit too late, and that's how to avoid someone coming through across the chicane there, and nearly into other people, but avoiding other people, thankfully, this time round. In the background, that's Beaver coming right round the outside and very nearly grabbing the wall on the outside as well, but that's Beaver up to 7th place.
Yeah, Beaver moving up through the field, started back in 23rd, up 16 spots right now. He looks to have pretty good control of the car right now in these wet conditions. The Acura, I think, maybe a little bit lower center of gravity, like you said, the Mustangs struggling in this. I would think the Porsches would be as well with that rear steer, or the rear wheel drive, but it looks like Beaver gonna move up through the field. Let's see how far he can get. We're about 7 minutes into this race now. Coming up on a couple slower cars there.
Let's see, looks up the inside, Sneezy Jr. on Dan Carrido, who turns 7 and turn 8, and this should be a pass. Sneezy Jr. was the other driver who we saw going for a spin, other than Bot 14, out of the final corner on the first lap. Bot 14, unfortunately, is already out of the race, as is Black Bob Wallace as well, who was assaulted down to the back straight chicane as well. So a couple of retirements already. There's Sector trying to come past as well. Spot the brake lights just up in front for Carrera there, a little bit wide from Sneezy's unit into the back straight chicane, but they all sort themselves out. come through the other side without problems. Here comes Corrido on the outside again, on the way towards that final chicane. Sneezy Jr. doesn't have to really do anything in defence. That's the beauty of this circuit. You just stay on the racing line, really, and that's good enough for defending into this section anyway.
Oh, nice save right there by Sector. Yeah, you can see as they get up on the high banks, as the speeds get, as they get up onto the higher part of the racetrack, just that spray. It is really difficult to see out there. I'm surprised we're not, to be honest with you, I'm really surprised we're not seeing more like we did from Wallace. The guys just missing the corners completely, but tough conditions to be out there with today.
That's why Dickinson's so far down. So it's not the fact that he's not been given his lap back, whatever. Well, it partly is, but anyway, he's also gone for a spin. He's still down in 21st position at the moment. Doesn't look like he is going to come through and retake all those positions as trying to stay out the way there, everybody. Paperbag slightly distracted on a different line on the way down towards turn 3. Also goes round for a spin. Look at the lack of grip as well. Once you've lost it there on the painted surface, especially, just sliding round, no matter what way he was turning the steering wheel.
Hey, you want to go in and use all these curves up like this as you go through the chicanes, but that's got to be the slicker part of the track because you see him coming off the corner here, up onto that high banking. G-Bay doing a really good job here, trying to chase Jen down here for 8th. I combined Zach and Jen for some reason and said Zen, but good view here from G-Bay going to that last chicane. Has to brake really hard to keep from running over Jen right there. Let's see how he can get out of the corner. Gets a good run off that chicane. He's going to get underneath Jen down here heading into turn number 1.
We'll get the place nicely, I think, into turn 1, and there you go. He has made some moves so far. He's up 12 again. Been in 8th place before, actually, today. And is there again. Daddy now on the back of Jen. Bit wide, though. Very wide. Oh, found the wall. It's so easy to do that. If you run a bit wide through turn 3, you so easily find the wall, and that was a help around there. Hughes Dallas made contact there with Cat Daddy, who now properly goes for a spin.
Cat Daddy had to collect the car. It's hard to come back onto the racetrack. I don't think he saw Hoosier Dallas there. And they just made just enough contact to send Cat Daddy around one more time.
Pebble through on Paperback, meantime, for 17th place. Ooh, bit of a slide on the way towards 5. And brake too late. Again, you'll get on the painted surface and you'll be in trouble. On the outside, here comes Beaver down the inside. Oh, that's so close to contact. Beaver there was quite late on the brakes on the back straight chicane, and Sassy stays in front, 5th placed. Best of our 2 Canadians in the field tonight. Currently in that top 5 with Beaver applying the pressure and looking to gain even more places. Look at that already, up 17 after just 10 minutes.
I think Beaver's going to do the same thing he did the lap before. Watch him through the last chicane. He's going to have a good run off of here. Let's see if he can catch Sassy down. Oh, he broke loose just a little bit off the corner and lost some ground. I thought he was going to be able to run down Sassy and Corndog into the first corner, but going through the Roval now. Let's see if he can make up any ground through there.
1, 2, and 3 battling over 4th place. Now get on the brakes for turn 3 for not to slide out into that outside wall. If you brake too late there, it's over. You can end yourself in the wall very quickly indeed. Look at the sliding as well when you're slightly off the racing surface. You want to be on the left-hand side of that blue line in the dry, but I'm sure it's the best place to be in these wet weather conditions. Every painted surface is just somewhere you don't want to be. Sassy under extreme pressure now from Beaver, who looks up the inside on the way towards the oval and actually goes very steeply up the banking, trying to get it here. He's on the low side through NASCAR turns 1 and 2. And I'm not sure if that is the place to be or not really here, as he just dives down low, uses the oval a little bit. This is Beaver into the top 5, up 18 places in not even a 5th of the race. This is a remarkable drive through the field.
At this pace, he might just run down Tigas here for the lead. We expected Spears or even so his next victim is going to be Corndog here, but Beaver doing a great job. Just got to, I think, everybody we've seen so far, he's just got the best control right now in these wet conditions. He's putting that car just about and here comes Sassy. Sassy with a late lunge right there. And around goes Sassy.
Yeah, goes into a spin. And we'll rejoin down in at least 9th. That's usually a Dallas on the outside there for 10th maybe. And it might well be. There you go, around the outside. Another corner you don't want to brake too late for. You head on straight on into the wall. But a great move on the brakes, by the way, from Sassy. Absolutely nailed the first part of the chicane for braking, but then just clips the curb and spins like we've seen so many times already here.
Yeah, Bieber entered just a little bit off that bottom, opened that lineup. Sassy says, I'm just going to take it. If Sassy could have got off of that chicane, that would have been just a great move. It was a great move anyway, but if it could have completed it, it would have been awesome.
This is Joshua Spears and his run trying to come back through the field again with Bob Nova in second place. Surely after Dickinson's problem so far, and electing, of course, to start from the pit lane. Looking like we might have a different winner for the first time this season, other than Sean Dickinson, who has won every race so far. Right on board with his teammate, Joshua Spears, who's flying the SimCity Racing flag here tonight now. Over the first curve, over the second. Oh, big slide from Bob Nova and for Joshua Spears as well, where he went for that spin, of course, from the lead. He looks down the inside. He goes through on the inside as Bob Nova got that wrong on the brakes there, down towards turn 1.
Yeah, I think Bob just saw him coming and just had to move up the track. Nice move from Spears there. Had a good run down the front straightaway, just capitalize on Bob Nova's mistakes. Did we get any kind of clarification of why Dickinson started on pit road from anybody? Oh,
I guess Sneezy Jr. passed. You mean why he decided to start from pit lane?
Yeah.
I think it was just to have a bit of a challenge. That's what Penny said in the YouTube chat. Anyway, wants to have a bit of a challenge to drive up through the field and try and win the race from the back of the field. Because after all, he took pole by over a second. It's a lot more fun to try and come through the field and overtake everybody than it is to race away at the front of the field more than the second lap. He would have won this race by more than half a minute if he'd have done this race properly. So might as well just have a bit of fun.
Yeah, agree. Yeah. It would have been really fun to see him come through the field, but it looks like he struggled now. He's about 2 minutes off the pace, so it would take one hell of a drive for him to get up there now. Looks like he's looking to the outside of Long Islander there. Or is that a lap car? Oh, it must be a lap car.
Yeah. I can't quite understand where he's lost this lap from, by the way, Dickinson. He's over a lap and a half down on his teammate Teagish and so on. Oh, he had that spin, and we saw that at the time, but my goodness, he's a long way back. Even in any case, he'd only be in 10th at the minute. He's not quite as high up as maybe you'd expect him to be, given his pace in that qualifying session. As we go back to Sector here, who's just on the back of Sneezy Jr. and towards the final chicane again. Diving down on the brakes they go. That's quite late, very late from Sneezy Jr. And there goes another one across the chicane.
Gotta give Biggles a big credit here on his production. That he's in the right car at the right time every single incident here. Sneezer right behind Sector there. I was surprised Sector's able to get back past him, but so Sneezer looking for a line, heading out of the Roval.
Seems it is possible to use that left-hand side for that turn 5 and 6, based on what I've seen so far and some of the sliding around. You'd think it wasn't possible, but Sector just did it without too many issues. So clearly it's preference. Big slide again on turning there for Sneezy Juniors. We just cut back a little bit further in the group because it's actually the closest battle on the circuit, really, from about 8th place all the way back here. There's not very many big gaps in the field.
A lot of close racing going on. I'm really actually surprised we're not seeing more contact here, and that we've seen quite a few drivers spin on their own, but we've not seen a lot of cars. Everybody's been able to avoid the mistakes. We look at Cat Daddy here, trying to get around Dan Corrado and Garlic Dog right there in front of him.
This is why I don't gets past. There's something going on to the final chicane between Sassy and Zach, that's for sure. And now there's position change there as well. Huzia Dallas overtaken by Sector, and Sneezy Jr. comes through to 11th. Wow, very nearly brakes too late and goes straight into the side of the Corvette. That also past Huzia Dallas there. He very nearly went past the same Porsche and then crashed into each other towards turn 1, but not quite. Sector the one to move into the top 10, and there might be more positions up the road as well, as you can see.
Yes. Oh, we got somebody spinning around there in the background that looked like, was that Garlic Dog in the Porsche?
Yeah.
I guess I got to say that correctly.
By the way, in our broadcast, I don't know if you saw it, in our broadcasting chat, I've been getting some abuse for saying the Porsche's rubbish, but, well...
I saw that in the chat.
I'm not saying, I'm not saying I'm right or anything, but, just look at that evidence there. Anyway, Zach keeps 9th place in the meantime. No Porsches involved here. In fact, instead, 2 Corvettes trying to get past a McLaren on the way towards the final chicane. Sneeze Jr. having a look down the inside, but look how early they have to brake. These braking zones become very, very long because of the wet weather. And Sector, another better run on Zach, and look at the amount of corner you can cut there as well. Painted surface on the left-hand side. Sneeze Jr. sliding all over the place. Sector now will be going to go on the way towards the final corner. We've seen some very late braking here from Sassy though, and there's a bit more. No chance to get through this time round. As they all stay as they are, coming over the line again. Sector close. Looks up the inside, can't make the move there.
Yeah, good patience there by Sector. I think a lot of people saw that gap down there and would have just take that late lunge. Sector with a good job just staying back. Gonna fight another day, and you can see a good run here from Sector as well. Looking to get around Zach, putting a lot of pressure on Zach. I think Zach's looking in the mirror quite a bit, and he's missing his entry points, and that is letting Sector gain quite a bit of ground on him. I think we're gonna within the next half a lap, I think we're gonna see Sector get around Zach here.
Well, this is definitely the most entertaining group in the field. We've been following them for the last few moments. At 20 minutes gone here, 40 still to go, and that's a much better run from Sector onto the banking here. Zach doing a good job of just holding these two back for the moment for Sassy, who's his teammate here, but as you can see in the 2 McLarens, but Sector straight through, and Sneeze Jr. might be through as well. No, actually, thought he was going to have a dive there down the inside the final, or that back straight came, but no. As Beaver comes into the pit lane, we're over 20 minutes gone, so yeah, we've got the pit window open now, that's for sure.
And the rain is not slowing down at all right now. Good view here from Sneezy Jr. looking up at the back of Zach's car to see if he can do the same thing that Sector did. Find a way around him. A good run through the last chicane right here, but just not going to have the pace to run him down going down in turn number 1. So got Beaver in the pit. So we're going to see. We'll watch Beaver's lap times as he comes out and see if those new tires do, or did he take tires on? He was only in the pits for 13 seconds. May just be fuel only.
That's the early benchmark. That's what we've got to look at so far. It's 13 in the box for Beaver. Not a bad idea either, actually. Beaver's done a lot of overtaking so far, but I'll say not a bad idea. Maybe could have waited a couple more laps, because look at the amount of traffic he's just ended up in as well here. Only a couple he's just gotten past Dan Carrido rejoining, obviously, but only 2 seconds up to this battle we're watching here. And then there's only a second and a half up to the next one, second half up to the next one. So that's a lot of traffic for Beaver to contend with if these guys don't pit in the next few moments.
Yeah, the plan had to be to pit early and let everybody else come into the pits and get that fresh air. We take a look here at Cat Daddy underneath Hoosier Dallas there for that 11th spot. But he's got his hands full with that Porsche. I don't really disagree with what you said earlier, Ewan. Those Porsches are just tough to hang on to. Every time I've tried to drive them, they're just so loose. They got so much power. Trying to get the power to the ground, it's so easy to spin the tires on them. That's always been my problem with them.
Oh, and meanwhile, into the barrier, Sneezy Jr. in the Corvette has to reverse himself out and get himself back going again. See how it happened. But I could guess. Into the chicane. Oh no, that's a different one. Broke way too late and slid actually across the corner there into the wall.
Yeah, just lost control right there in the middle of the chicane and just right across the grass and had no control at that point. Sneezy around once again. happened to look down on my other screen. So Sneezy was struggling here, spun around twice in this lap, falling back to about 16th now. But a good battle here with Sector and Sassy. Sector's been chasing Sassy now for a couple of laps. Let's see if they can find a way around. Looking good right here, down heading out of that last chicane, but just not enough to get to the inside. Let's see if Sector can get a run off the chicane and up onto the high banking. Good run on the inside. Going to cut across the paint. Great run up onto the banking through what would be turns 3 and 4.
On the wrong line before the chicane, though, which is the problem here for getting on the brakes. Now Sector brakes late on the outside and comes straight through. There we go.
I don't think he heard you.
Onto the inside and through. You don't often see that work outside of the first part. It does give you the inside at the second, but it just doesn't often work. Normally when you're on the inside, you get the opportunity to brake later and defend on the inside, but yeah, Sector just didn't care about any of that, just broke later anyway, and drove right round the outside for 7th.
I think the only reason, what made it really work right there is that Sassy gave some room, saw it coming, didn't want to get in a crash, so kind of let Sector have the space down there. Otherwise, I agree with you 100%. That move usually does not work. And Beaver back up to 11th now after pitting. Just charging back up through the field. Beaver now up on Cat Daddy and Zach right there in front of him.
Oh, hello. Someone's rejoining. Oh, thankfully they didn't actually go through with it there in this battle for 8th place. They very nearly had somebody rejoining right with them there. But thankfully
like it was Sassy.
Not. Beaver here gets really stuck in traffic now with Zach and Cat Daddy in front. This is the problem of pitting early. Although he can make the moves quickly, Beaver, he's losing time while he does it here.
I definitely was hoping to come out in cleaner air, but he's having to fight his way through here. He's doing a really good job with it. As now he's got Cat Daddy and Zach side by side in front of him, so he's really got nowhere to go at this point. Just hoping one of them can clear the other. Oh, and as we say that, Zach dives down into the pits.
Well, probably not the worst idea as Cat Daddy now runs wide. Beaver, oh, well, he had a perfect opportunity there, Beaver, but he squandered it really. He might still be able to go down the inside at turn 1. In fact, he's been given the lane, but can't do it. And Cat Daddy keeps the position. That is a bit of a puzzler, as Beaver couldn't get himself past. He had the perfect chance. He's now broken a bit late. He's on the wrong line. Got to be very, very careful you don't end up in the wall at turn 3. But now he'll have to work a different way past. And again, this is exactly why it costs so much time. The last lap time, a 34.5. That was the slower. It was slower than everybody inside the top 7 there. So Beaver will be losing out to everybody.
And losing a little bit of ground on Cat Daddy here right now as well. So kind of look like maybe he's going to drop him back, regrouping a little bit, take another run at it. But Cat Daddy actually able to get away from Beaver here right now. So let's see what Beaver. He's been charging up through the field here. I really expected him to get by Cat Daddy quickly, but just not able to now. And it looks like Cat Daddy's getting a hold of that Porsche and driving away from him.
This is looking back from Jose Dallas to Dan Carrido, who has a little bit of a look down the inside but can't go past. Tries to put the Porsche off on the brakes there, but he pulls it up in time. It was Jose Dallas, and that was good driving from him. Stay ahead of Dan Carrido here onto the banking. As we approach half distance, it looks like these guys are going to run for quite a while here on this tank of fuel, which seems to be the sensible thing to do. But Jose Dallas isn't, though. He's going to pull to the left-hand side, and he pits already just shy of the halfway mark as well.
Yeah, looks like we're going to have everybody pitting here pretty soon within the next few laps. Tegish doing a really good job out in front. You know, it's what happens a lot of times when you get out in the lead and you're not in the action, you don't get much camera time. So Tegish now with a little over a 5-second advantage over Bob Nova and Spears. You know, Spears leading early after he spun out. We thought he'd kind of make his way back up to the front, but he's only made his way back up to 3rd right now, and he's about 7 seconds off the leader. So Tegish doing a really good job right here. Just holding on to this gap and actually extending that gap on Bob Nova here over the last few laps.
I'm a bit surprised as well that Joshua Spears has not really tried to come. Well, he obviously trying to come back, but hasn't been able to really get anywhere yet. As Tegish begins to dominate, really. Bob Nova has not been as quick this race, and I'd be surprised if that just turns around in the middle of the race for no real apparent reason, but Joshua Spears not to get back involved is a bit of a strange one. As Susie Dallas comes out the pit lane, so much traffic out there at the moment. This is Paper Bag, who just gets through for 16th place, and Corn Dog now, who's in from 6th position as well. Susie Dallas, meanwhile, off the circuit, just as we cut away. Oh dear, and he's off with one of the Mustangs. Is that Joshua Spears, or is that somebody else? It is Spears. Joshua Spears is into the wall as well here. As Susie Dallas was coming out the pit lane, he's found the wall, and his rear wing's now dancing on the racetrack. Oh, it was Joshua Spears himself down the inside who made the contact.
Don't know if he didn't see him coming out of the pits there or not, but it looks like Spears didn't take a lot of damage there, but he did lose a lot of ground now, about 22 seconds back off the leader. Too bad for Hoosier Dallas, had a pretty good run going there. Yeah. Like Spears just thought he had enough room, and he got down in the corner a little bit too hard, and the car just kind of pushed out a little bit, and he collected Hoosier Dallas, sending them both around, and Hoosier Dallas took the worst of that. You can see the rear spoiler bouncing down the racetrack.
Well, slightly comical if it wasn't bad news for Hoosier Dallas, who's down on pit lane now with Nicoletta and Paper Bag, who are also there, I think, having more scheduled pit stops than he is, admittedly, but nevertheless, this is Corn Dog back out onto the circuit again. I must say that the Audi, and this is the only Audi in the field, not a car that I would suspect to be particularly great round here in the wet weather conditions, but anyway, he's making it work for the moment. As Joshua Spears comes in as well, almost exactly on halfway actually for him. We're about to get to half an hour.
We started with 25 cars, we're down to 22. Ted back there hanging in there, one lap down. So Spears down into the pits. That's going to move G-Bay up into third, up 17 spots. Started back in 20th now, up to third, and Jen right now moving up into fourth with Spears down in the pits. Good fight here from with Beaver and Sector once again. Beaver taking a look to the inside here. Thinks the better of it, just backs out of it, and Sector's going to hold on to that 6th spot.
Close. He didn't fully back out, but he's still there or thereabouts. Sector is going to be on the defensive here, and surely he's going to be in the rearview mirror pretty soon, but Beaver can't find his way past, and surely going to cost him in the long run. He's got Joshua Spears back behind him again, of course, but that's not really because of Beaver's speed, because of Joshua Spears' couple of incidents. We'll see what happens to the front four also, certainly the top three in relation to Beaver when they come in to make their pit stops, but must have lost so much time in these battles, as entertaining as they've been. So much time must have been lost here for Beaver, and Sector is just the latest of them to keep him behind for the moment.
Yeah, you know, Beaver was really expecting to make that stop and just charge his way back through the field, but it has been a lot more of a challenge than probably any of us expected it to be. With the top 6 in front of him, all still left to pit, so but he's got 40 seconds back to the leaders right here, so I don't think that pit stop's going to really help him get to the front, but it might get him into the top 3 or top 4 once the pit stops all shake out.
And this is a replay, meantime, of the race leader at Teagish. Turn 3 again. And a big slide and a spin for the race leader. Teagish now down to second as Bob Nova overtakes him because of that spin. Bob Nova wasn't as quick as Teagish in normal racing when they were both going well, so he might be able to come back again, Teagish, and re-overtake Bob Nova, but in fairness, Joshua Spears, after his spin, hasn't been able to do the same. I wonder whether the same thing's going to happen to that other Mustang of Teagish, who looked comfortable in the lead of this race, but has now lost it.
Yeah, we complimented Teagish earlier, and just on the pace in this condition, just running a good line, keeping that distance back to Bob Nova, but you can see just how easy it is to make one little mistake, and that cost him about 7 seconds right there. Now he's about 1 second behind Bob Nova.
It's already down below a second, so we'll see about that one. As Sector and Beaver come to the back straight chicane again. In the background, that's not Joshua Spears, by the way, it's Sean Dickinson, who is in 18th place now. He's starting to make up some positions here because there have been so many delays for so many drivers up and down the field so far. he's starting to gain some places, Sean Dickinson, but still only 18th place, and it doesn't look like he is going to get his race win that he got pole, of course. Doesn't look like he's going to get the race win that he was favourite, of course, to manage at the start of today.
I think you really expected to just kind of charge through the field. Made a couple of mistakes there, so I'm actually giving him credit for staying out there. A lot of guys would have just parked it by now, so Dickinson just going to try to get the best finish he can out of this. As we look here at Sector from in view there from Beaver, trying to find a way around Sector, and Sector all over the back of Cat Daddy at the same time, so we've got a good battle going on right here for 5th, 6th, and 7th. Looks like Beaver made a little mistake, lost some ground there, though.
Oh, there's a rear wing on the circuit there as well. Not sure who that belongs to. Oh no, that's an advertising board. But the first one definitely was a rear wing just lying on the circuit. Wonder whether that's just been kicked down the road from that crash earlier on that we saw involving Joshua Spears, although that wasn't his rear wing. Tigis, meantime, comes into the pit lane on the second position, so Bob Nova's lead is going to get larger, but I just wonder whether Tigis has decided now is the right time to pit, because might be able to do a bit of an undercut on the race leader.
Would be a good time to do it right now. He was only about less than a second back of Bob Nova right there. You know, it was kind of hard, had that spray, hard to see. You might as well come down to the pits, try to undercut, see if he can get out, get a good outlap here, make up some ground on Bob Nova here, come back out with the lead after making that mistake a little bit ago.
Down to the final chicane again. Dickinson has got paper bag in his sights, and these two, or these four actually, if you want to call it all one group, will all get past paper bag in the next couple of moments as well. And look at this, there is paper bag in the Mustang, zipping through on the inside there. Cat Daddy and Sector come through, as well as Beaver, and Paperback just actually slowed down in the end to let them all through, and in the end just let Sean Dickinson through as well. With 25 minutes to go, decided that I'm never going to keep this place anyway, I might as well stay out the way and just let them all through, and that's exactly what he did. And now Beaver lets Dickinson through as well. We'll be hoping that Dickinson could sort of plough a way through for Beaver here maybe.
It took the words right out of my mouth. I think that's exactly what he was doing. He kind of pulled over, let Dickinson go. He knows Dickinson's a little bit faster, so maybe he can make the holes for him. And he'll just follow Dickinson right by Sector and Cat Daddy. As you can see Dickinson already looking underneath Sector here. Let's see if Beaver just tucks in behind and tries to follow him by.
There goes Dickinson inside. Well, this is not the place to be, really. It's an unusual situation always when you're trying to lap yourself like this, because you shouldn't really be there, but it is Sean Dickinson, and he's definitely quicker than these guys, so he's sort of let off with it. Bob Nova's into pit lane, by the way. The rejoin for the race lead is about to happen with Bob Nova and Tigis. We'll see how it transpires as these guys race their way into the final chicane. Dickinson will get through, and we'll see whether Beaver can follow through, but Bob Nova's going to be out front by a few seconds here after that pit stop.
Yeah, it looks like Beaver's plan didn't work out. He stays behind Sector. We look back up at the front, and it's like you said, Bob Nova is able to come out. That undercut didn't really work good for Tigis. Matter of fact, lost a couple of seconds. But as Bob Nova comes back out with the lead, let's see if Tigis has the pace to run him back down. Is G-Bay now our leader? So we've had four different leaders in this race now.
Yeah, I think that's 4 now. So a bit of good run through the field from G-Bay as well, but it'll come to an end in the next 10 minutes or so when G-Bay comes into the pit lane, as everybody has to at some point in this race. There is Sector still in front of Beaver here. Must be continuing to frustrate Beaver now, who never would have been really near Bob Nova and Tigis anyway. I don't think it's lost him any places for Beaver, but he has spent a lot of time stuck behind people so far in this race.
Yeah, you know he's got to be in that position. I know if I was in that position, I would have just right now I'd be sitting back there going, would you please just pit and get the hell out of my way?
That's the view actually on who stopped and who hasn't, by the way. Cat Daddy comes into pit lane to put a one stop next to his name. We will have that in a moment. Sector goes a bit deep into that final chicane, and Beaver has a better run now out the final corner. No, still can't get through. This is this is a battle lasting a very, very long time, and Beaver will be hoping that Sector comes into pit lane soon, but so far he's one of only 2 drivers not to have stopped, and that might not change for another 5 minutes yet.
Yeah, I thought Beaver had the pacer off that out of that last chicane right there down the front straightaway across the start-finish line. I thought he had the pace to get into one, but just did not take the opportunity, or just didn't feel like he had it. He had enough momentum to take that inside line away from Sector.
Just over 20 minutes to go, so it can't be that far away for Sector, but he's got no reason to pit at the moment. Sector, he's in clean air. He's not actually going any slower than he otherwise would be. There's no one in front of him, so it's Beaver who's really being delayed by this, and that is his problem really. He's got to find his way past Sector, and Sector doesn't have to particularly worry about that. Another look down the inside, this time onto the back straight chicane, and again nothing happens.
See if we can get any kind of run off this, out of the chicane down up into turns 3 and 4. As a matter of fact, Sector just kind of drives away right there, so Beaver actually losing space. So GB now going to take, coming down into the pits, relinquish the lead back to Bob Nova. Tegish going to move up into second, so GB going to make their pit stop.
And so there's the lead changes again. Bob Nova now ahead of Tegish, and there's still 2 seconds between them. This is Ted, meantime, in the McLaren. Oh wow, that's a spin on the oval. You do not see that very often.
Was there a cat ran across him, scared him a little bit? I'm not sure what happened there, but I
guess just
no, it sounds
grip.
like, yeah, you don't usually see that, like you said.
And maybe it explains why the guys haven't actually been running very close to the blue line. If we just stay with this for a moment here towards the oval, you'll see that they actually don't run very low on the low side. Well, never mind. Not a good lap to look at it, because Sector's been tapped around by Beaver coming onto the banking.
That is going to be a penalty before the week's over with the officials. Beaver patient behind Sector that whole time. Just took a look up underneath there. I think he thought he had some space right there, but just got a little impatient. Got into the left rear quarter of Sector and turned him around.
A little bit baffling that he's waited so long to make that move, and when he eventually does make it, it's a penalty-worthy bit of contact. If you waited that long, you might as well do it properly. As Ted rejoins here, this is him going back in. He is missing his rear end, to be fair, on that McLaren, so maybe that's why he's already in trouble. Yeah, there you go. He's already missing his rear end before even that, and well, now he'll be even more damaged on the front end and the rear end as well. So yeah, the conditions getting on top of him a little bit here, as Sector now just come into the pit lane. Seems the smart thing to do after that spin.
Yeah, Sector was just I'm not sure what his advantage was waiting so long to pit, but finally going to come down to the pits, but only after getting turned around and losing a few more spots. Around goes Nicolator. Is there anybody in this race that hasn't spun out at least once? Maybe Bob Nova?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe Bob Nova. He might be the only one. I'm sure there's more that I've just forgotten about, but yeah, maybe that is the only one. Certainly not Tegish. We've seen him have to go for a spin here earlier on tonight. That's how he lost the race lead after all, and spun down the field. Only to second, you understand, but he's got to make up those couple of seconds back up again in the next 18 minutes and make the pass. And like I said earlier, much like what happened with Joshua Spears, when that error happened for Joshua Spears, he never really regained much time on Tegish and Bob Nova. I fear slightly for Tegish that the same thing's happening again here, although on this last lap he has gained a lot of time. There you go, half a second gained that lap from Tegish on Bob Nova. He could do with a couple more laps like that.
Tegish gained that half a second just through that last chicane right there. They entered that chicane about 2 seconds back and gained that half a second right there coming off. So I was just thinking, Tegish is really, he can see Bob Nova right there, wants to push, but he's also at the same time got to be careful. These conditions are just getting worse and worse. You can see the spray coming off the car as the puddle's still developing. But Tegish is running down Bob Nova now within about 1.2 seconds.
And that's where the pressure will start to get to Bob Nova as well here, as Tigges starts to home interview. The traction of that Porsche just helping on the way into the banking this time round, as they accelerate now out of turn 8. Bob Nova just gains a little bit of time in those first 3 sectors of this lap. Now the back straight chicane, where it gets on the brakes late, and maybe it is driver skill rather than manufacturer difference and driver strengths in different parts of the circuit, but it certainly does seem into the actual fiddly chicanes on the back straight, and this one coming up here that Tigges is a little bit quicker through them.
I think he's able to get through those chicanes definitely smoother than Bob Nova right now. And you can see right there, just able to drive down deeper into the chicane, and it actually gives him a better run off. A lot of times when you go that deep into the corner, it hurts to run off the corner, but Tigges able to capitalize into the chicane and off the chicane. He's right there on the back of Bob Nova. You know, it's I've only been here for a couple races here with this league, but it's fun to actually get a battle for the lead here. The last couple of weeks has been Dickinson just running away with it. So we're gonna come down here to the end. We got about 16 minutes left to go, and we're gonna have a fight for the lead here in the last few minutes.
15 minutes still to go, so it could be quite a long battle for the lead. It's more than 10 laps left in this race yet, as Beaver's found the barrier hard out of turn 2, and that is a great drive coming to an end here. And it's come to an end from a podium position for that driver of the Acura, who was on the podium after gaining 20 odd places. Just, that little bit of painted surface there on the blue, just out of turn 1 before turn 2, smacks the rear left corner. And that's the end of that for Beaver. That's a real shame.
That is a real shame. Beaver did a really good job. Pitted early, had some good strategy, was trying to make way back up through the field. Made that little mistake, got into sector, and once again here makes a big mistake. Coming off of turn number 1, loses it, hits the wall hard, and Beaver's day is done.
Yeah, well, that's a real shame for Beaver. He's got a meatball, along with Pebble actually, who's got a meatball in the last few moments. Repairing that down on pit lane, but yeah, there you go. Oh, big slide for Tigges on the way towards final chicane that time. So we go back to Cat Daddy. That's what I was mentioning earlier on, by the way. Look how they avoid the bottom part of the oval there. It's a little bit shinier when we're on board, and you can just see that it's not really the place to be on the inside. You want to be up high, as the Audi goes pretty deep. And this is Cat Daddy just trying to get past anywhere he can find. Accelerating in that Porsche out of the back straight chicane. Now on the way to that final chicane as well, with Horn Dog just up in front. Down on the brakes they go, and the Audi stays in front fairly comfortably, but the pressure again will start to mount here, and there's a long way to go until the end of this race if you're defending a position already.
I'm going to steal the line from our producer and say it's a battle between cats and dogs right now. Cat Daddy trying to run down Corn Dog, heading through turn number 1 into turn number 2. We got battles. It's great to have some battles here to cover all the way throughout the field. Or we knew it was going to be challenging with these rain conditions. It looks like maybe Sean Dickinson has gone around, so his charge, trying to get his lap back up, may just come to another end as he just loses it. Kind of got out there on that blue like we've seen some other guys do. Just got on the throttle a little too hard and is going to spin it around.
Maybe it wouldn't have won this race if he'd have started with the rest of them. Don't know. Easy to say, obviously, that he probably wouldn't have had those spins without being down the field. As Ted here has gone for a real ride over the curves. He's hit the wall as well, and that might well be the end of his day, because that's a number of spins and issues we've seen now for that McLaren over the course of today. But still no meatball. Just in pit lane repairing obvious damage, as a number of others are. 13 minutes to go. Bob Nova and Tigges still fighting it out here for that first position on the road. And yeah, so far Bob Nova soaking up the pressure really well.
Tigges shrunk that gap down to under a second, but Bob Nova's been able to hold him off. We'll see him come out of the Roval right here up onto the high banks. And a little too low of an exit right there from Tigges as he gets the car loose, loses some ground right there. I was hoping he was going to be close enough to maybe make a run going into the chicane, as he has shown to be much stronger through both the chicanes here on entry and exit. 1.2 seconds back as you can see just how much farther he drives it down in there. He gains about 0.4 of a second just getting into the chicane. and able to drive off and back with under a second. So we've got about 13 minutes left to go. 12 minutes left to go now at this point. So we'll see if if Bob Nova can hold off this fierce charge from Teagish here.
So far, we've seen that probably is in it. As he goes a bit wide there, probably is in his favour, because Teagish, while he has been close, and here he is close again now, into turn number 1, he's not actually had any side-by-side moments. He's not had any real clear-cut moments where he might be able to go for a pass here. So it's very interesting that it's been so close and so uneventful between these two so far, but surely that only does play into the hands of Bob Nova, who's got the track position, which could prove to be quite important here.
The lap car moves down out of the way. Teagish gets into turn number 1, got a little bit loose, lost a little bit of ground there. I think we're going to see this battle's going to continue for a few more laps. Maybe we'll get Teagish up here in the booth here, and you can ask him what that visor means.
Well, I know what it means. It's not much cryptic about that.
Well, you can give him the compliment in person.
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe. We'll see whether he makes it here. Of course, he's got a long way back to 4th place, in fairness. He'll probably be on the podium and chatting to us anyway. But yeah, it's a case of whether he's going to win here or whether he's going to finish second, or whether something strange is going to happen between these two before the finish. Sector, meantime, has had trouble through turn 1 as that painted surface again. That's almost exactly what... Oh, wow, with a bit more spectacularness. Almost exactly what Beaver did, but I think there's some damage, as there was for Beaver. Well, maybe not. But anyway, a very, very similar crash. As we also see what happened here to Sneezy Jr., who just clips the curb, and there you go, goes for a spin as well.
Yeah, that spin from sector in turn 1, that's about we've seen that happen to about half a dozen other drivers as well. This tough situation, you're trying to push the car as hard as you can off that corner, and you just get out there on that blue paint just a little bit, and just enough to lose some traction and spin the car around.
And you can see, by the way, when we just switched cameras there really wasn't very much difference in the place on this racetrack. Bob Nova and Teagish have lapped everybody up to Not Supra in 12th place. We're going to end the race with 10 cars on the lead lap, or maybe even less than that, because of the, first of all, the shortness of the racetrack, but also the difficulty of this race as well. The fact that, first of all, this track's difficult, but second of all, the rain as well, which has just stretched this field out a very, very long way indeed. There are some drivers way down in the pack, driving around 4 laps down. Notlevin still going in 20th place, despite the fact he's in 4 laps down on the rest of the field. They're persevering in this round of the championship, because if you stay out there, you might just get some points at the end of the day. As drivers make their way onto the banking again here. Is Cat Danny just in behind Corn Dog for
Teagish for the incident. Teagish goes around. Teagish goes around out of the final chicane. That is going to give Bob Nova the breathing room he was looking for. This Teagish now 10 seconds back, so you can see him down. He's been driving into the chicane a little deeper every lap, and you can see right there, he starts to actually get a little bit loose there through the center of the chicane, and then catches that curb coming off. Just upsets the car enough, and he's going to... what a great run from Teagish. That might have just put an end to it.
Well, it's certainly put an end to his challenge for the race lead. I can't see Bob Nova making a mistake from here, as in the background there, Sneezy Jr. a lap down, nearly rearing into the back of these two. I don't understand quite how he's been able to clip that curve just slightly almost every lap here as Teagish, and he's got away with it clearly. But finally, it's spun him around again. Well, I'll say finally it has again, and I don't really understand why it happens sometimes, but not others. But when they do spin around there after going off of that curve, they seem to spin around completely instantly.
Yeah, it doesn't take very much. It may just be maybe just a quarter of an inch to half an inch more down on the throttle pedal that you were doing lap after lap after lap. You think you're hitting that same line over and over again, but it just takes that one little mistake. Really thought Teagish had a shot to win this race, but that's like you said, that's gonna doesn't end his day completely, but definitely going to end his chance to catch Bob Nova unless we see Bob Nova make a mistake. But he's got such a gap right now, he knows he doesn't have to push.
And so far we haven't seen Bob Nova make a mistake anyway. So it's pretty unlikely in the next 7 minutes that is going to change. As we still see Cat Daddy trying to get past Corndog into the final chicanes. Will there be a move on the brakes here maybe in that Porsche? He looks now right round the right-hand side, looks to the inside. Oh, he's late on the brakes here, and that was very high risk.
That's close.
Very high risk from Cat Daddy there. If that went wrong, he would have gone straight into the side of the Audi there, and it would have been his fault, no doubt. But just about pulled that up in time, and there was no move in the end.
Actually did a really good, he tried a late lunge right there, but actually did a really good job of not running right into the side of Corndog. And you can see just how much as Cat Daddy backed off right there, because he's now about 10 car lanes back away from Corndog. You have to try to reel him in if he's going to fight again for that 5th spot. Yeah, you know, Bob Nova here up there in that Porsche may just prove me wrong and just how challenging those Porsches are to drive because, like we said earlier, I think he's maybe the only car on the whole racetrack that hasn't at least spun around at least once. And if maybe he did and we missed it somewhere, but doing a really good job up there.
It's Joshua Spears, who was leading at one stage, of course, but he's already had a couple of problems before this latest one. On the brakes, down the final chicane, and he very lightly hits the wall. That's unlikely to jeopardise his 3rd place, I would say. 6 seconds back to GB. I said that before checking whether he actually still was even in 3rd place, so thank God that was still the case. He's still on the podium. It looks like it is going to be a fairly battered car he brings over the line in 3rd place. And this is Sean Dickinson, who looks like he's going to finish in 13th place as well. So SimCity Racing will definitely lose out on some points here, but it's been a very, very fast start to the season for them. So they won't mind too much about that. And Sean Dickinson, I'm sure he's going to return at the Crown Jewel 90-minute race next week, by the way. I'm sure he's going to return to winning ways at Daytona.
Yeah, looking forward to that race next week for sure. You know, we had 2 or 3, I think we had 3 cars start from the pit road and didn't work out for either one of them. So both, what was that, Dickinson, Bott, and Nodovan all started in the back, and they all paid for it. So, but Joshua Spears thought he was going to have a better run here. A couple mistakes going to put him into 3rd place, but in GB actually making up a little bit of ground, only about 5 seconds back right now. So Joshua Spears is going to have to hold on here to even keep that podium spot at this point. One more mistake, and he's going to fall back to 4th.
This gap's not too large. This is just over 4 minutes to go. There will be 3 laps to go for Bob Nova just to bring this one home. 39 laps, scheduled to be in this race. He goes a bit wide there through turn 3. And just as we've been saying, he hasn't made a mistake all day. He's just got to be careful that in these last 3 laps he doesn't slip up now.
Way out there past that blue line. We've seen everybody a little bit loose right there into the corner right there as well. So Teagish actually has made up a little bit of ground, but with less than 4 minutes left to go right now, Bob Nova's going to have to make a big mistake for Teagish to catch him now. But Bob Nova looking to get his first win on the season and become only the 2nd winner this season. Kind of an odd line into this chicane down the back straightaway. Kind of entered a little bit lower than I would have thought, but only a couple laps left to go. I just got to make about 34 more corners here and not make a mistake. That should be really easy to do at this point.
Well, further behind, Dickinson is I said he was going to finish 13th. He wasn't going to get any more out of this race, but he's just in behind Not Supra now for that 12th place. So maybe another extra point or so to gain there. Takes a slightly lower line around the banking towards the final corner. He brakes later and he goes straight through. So Sean Dickinson showing that he does have the speed here, but unfortunately for him, not the starting position and not the start to the race that he wanted as well. There'll be 2 laps to go. I can't see him catching the 14 seconds to Sassi unless there's some serious issues there. But Dickinson showing that he is still one of the real strong drivers of this series, and he will still, of course, be series leader at the end of this fourth round, even despite his winning streak coming to a close.
Dickinson unlapping himself there from Teagish right there. Teagish just kind of letting him go. Yeah, Super did a really nice job there. He saw Dickinson coming in the mirror and just kind of pulled over. Didn't put up any fight. Couple laps left to go. No point in making a mistake and tearing up a couple of cars here this late. Dickinson just charging through the field right now. Like it's too bad he had such a poor start.
Yeah, well, he did decide. He did make that decision himself, to be fair. So can't blame anyone else. There's about a minute to go. Bob Nova will take the white flag here in a moment, and he will surely go on to win this race, unless there is some catastrophic issue on this very last lap. Here he comes over the curves for the second last time. About a minute to go, and he crosses the line again. So just one more lap time now for Bob Nova. Just nail all the braking points, and the race win should be his now.
Yeah, he can lift off the throttle about half pedal right here and still takes it home to victory. There's no point in pushing too hard. And as I said that, he loses it in turn 3 into the wall. Oh, what was he doing? How
Unbelievable.
far back Teagish coming at him? Oh, what was he pushing so hard for right there?
It's really quickly. He's surely going to be very well close to... Oh, and he spun again. He spun again, and Teagish is going to take the lead on the last lap here. We'd basically given Bob Nova the race win because he hadn't made a mistake all day. Oh, and he's had to tow as well. He's had to tow back to pit lane. He's going to finish bottom end of the lead lap, and even Dickinson's going to get an extra place out of this now. That is a disaster for Bob Nova, who spinned on the last lap into the wall, and Teagish is going to come through to win.
Not sure what he had in his mind right there. He had such a big lead, 11 seconds. Really just could have backed off the throttle, not made any mistakes, but just got in the corner there. I mean, hadn't made a mistake the whole race that we saw anyway. What a poor time to do it. So feel for him right there. Bob Nova looking to get his first win on the season, but it looks like it's going to be Teagish now. If Teagish can just make a half a lap here, coming off out of that back straightaway chicane up into turns 3 and 4 on the high banking. I think he might have caught the wall there just a little bit.
He certainly got one of the Corvettes going past him, but anyway, Teagish is going to come into the final chicane again now, and he'll see the checkered flag. A very big surprise, I'm sure, to him, as he breaks far too late and dives over the curbs. He takes the checkered flag here at the Charlotte Roval, and he becomes the first different race winner other than Sean Dickinson so far in this season. Joshua Spears was one of our race leaders at many stages here today. He comes over the line second. Carrido and Sassi will be the last battle over the line. That'll be for 9th place, a little bit further down in the field. See which of the drivers comes out on top in that, because they're still not even halfway through this final lap yet.
Yeah, we watched Teagish come off that last corner through that last chicane. Almost made the same mistake he made about 5 laps ago when he spun around. You can actually see him just kind of lift off the throttle real hard to get on the brakes so it didn't spin out. But good perseverance there from Teagish. So here we're looking at Sassy and Is it Carrido? Carrido. Yeah, it's raining harder and harder. Coming out of that last chicane down up onto the back straightaway. Sassy going to look to the inside. I don't think Sassy has the pace, but we'll see if we see a late lunge down here into the final chicane.
Oh, this could be left all on the line at the end here. Look at this. Side by side. There was always going to be a bit of contact. They make it through quite nicely. Oh, well done. Both of them making it through very nicely indeed. And Sassy gets the place. 9th place ahead of Carrido, who finishes in 10th. But good racing to end the day. Side by side, those two as well. That was very well done from the both of them. So a 9th place finish it is for Sassy. But most of all, great bit of racing between the two as Teagish begins to celebrate his victory at the final chicane. He's doing some donuts and whatever, and we'll leave him to celebrate as we have a look at the race results at the end of an hour-long race. Here from the Charlotte Roval, it is Teagish who takes the race win. We'll see them. Here we go. Joshua Spears, 13 odd seconds behind, with GB also on the podium. After that, retirement for Bob Nova, of course. Corndog and Cat Daddy round out the top 5 ahead of Sector and Jen, the last drivers within a minute of the win. Zach Sassy and Dan Corrido were the last drivers in the top 10, with Bob Nova dropping to the back end of the lead lap, as I said. Dickinson dropped off the lead lap because he didn't do the last lap either. Not Supra, Colic Dog and Paperbag rounded out the top 15. And then further down, 16th place for my time screen's wrong compared to these results. Caesar Jr. is the next driver, 1 lap down. Nicolator is 2 laps down, along with Huzia Dallas. Notavin 5 down, Pebble 7 down, Long Island Nerd 9 down, Bieber 11 down, Head 16 down, 14, 36 laps down after retiring very, very early on in the race, with Blackbird Wallace as well at the back end of the field. Let's have a chat then to some of the drivers then, shall we, at the end of that one. Tigis is not there yet, which is typical. So we'll chat to Spears first of all. Joshua Spears, who finished in second. Josh, welcome in and congratulations on finishing second place. A bit of a whirlwind race. How difficult were the conditions out there tonight?
Oh, talk about monsoon tonight. It was nasty, but I mean, I came through at the end, although I don't know, but Sean, it went down a lap. So I think he might be P1 and I'm P3, but I don't know whatever's going to happen with that.
Yeah, I noticed that at some point. So was he just not given the lap that he should have been, or what was going on there? Because we saw him have a couple of spins in the early part of the race. I thought that's why he was so far down, but it was noticeable that he was so far behind the rest of the field. What was going on there?
So he started from the pits, and then it took away the lap, like he went a lap down instantly. So I'm not 100% sure what went wrong with him, but to be honest, I'm happy that I still finished relatively well, regardless of the faux pas that went on.
Well, yeah, certainly a second place for you tonight. Congratulations on that, and thanks for coming to chat to us at the end of the day as well.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks very much. That's Joshua Spears in second place here tonight at the Charlotte Roval. Gibe finished in third position in the podium places. Congratulations, Gibe, on the third place. Gained a lot of places, 17 places up after qualifying in 20th. Just how was it coming through the field in the way you did tonight?
Oh, it was a lot of fun. This was actually the first race I've done in the rain, and strangely enough, I think it was very similar to driving like an ARCA car or a NASCAR Cup car in the dry. There's a lot of throttle manipulation. There's a lot of sawing on the steering wheel, which I'm sweating right now quite a bit, but it was a lot of fun. It definitely was.
I guess in terms of the lack of grip, there certainly is some similarity there, but how are you feeling about going forward the rest of the season now? Because we've not seen you too much up towards the front like this just yet this season, but on the podium now for this round, do you think this will be a one-off with the rain falling, or can you maybe repeat this again later on down the season?
Maybe if we have rain again, then there might be a similar performance. It was a little bit of luck and just driving real easy. I managed to come out with 0x on that race, which is crazy, but no, it was some good points for sure for the season. And in the dry, I really don't think I have anything for these guys, but if I can stay in top 10 the rest of the season, that'd be a win for me for sure.
Well, congrats on finishing on the podium anyway tonight, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Right, thank you guys.
Thanks very much. That's Gibe, finished in third place in the Charlotte Roval round tonight. Tigis, though, has come through to take the race win at the very end there on the very last lap. Tigis, welcome in. Good to have you with us, and congratulations on that. It must have been a dramatic finish, a rather confusing finish as well. Just what was going through your mind on the last lap there?
Honestly, I was pretty happy with P2, just kind of keeping an eye on relative, and I saw it tank into turn one. It was like, oh, it's back on. So pretty exciting.
Yeah, well, absolutely. And we saw, a couple of spins from you tonight as well. As I said before, as we were saying before the interviews, that pretty much everybody went for a spin at some point over the course of today. How difficult were those conditions, especially that final chicane in the Mustang as well?
The final chicane was tricky, and then the other spot I spun, I think that's turn 2 or 3. Those were the problem spots I was having in practice, but I figured out the blue curbing on the inside of the final chicane helped a lot, and I was just trying to ride that over the puddle.
Well, congratulations on getting the race win on the road here tonight, and thanks for chatting to us at the end as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks very much, Tigis. They're the winner on the road tonight from Charlotte. Sean Dickinson, of course, is the last driver we can have a chat to after his run through the field. Sean, welcome in. Good to have you with us. And how was your run through the field here tonight?
It was pretty fun. I just wanted to change it up. I noticed I had pretty good pace here because it's one of my favorite tracks, and then I just decided to start from pits, which unfortunately led to a whole different discussion that I had to work out with the admins of it putting me a lap down immediately. But it was a good race, and it was very, very much more wet than I was expecting to. That was difficult.
What happened? Oh, sorry. What happened with the lap that you supposedly lost as well? Because it made it very hard to us to really work out where you were here today. Clearly the quickest driver out there on the circuit. We can see that from your best lap time compared to everybody else's. But you seemed to be a lap behind instantly and for pretty much the whole race as well.
Yeah, I don't know what caused that. Nicolator, one of the admins here, he also had the same thing. So I mean, luckily he knows exactly what I went through. It's the exact same issue. We both had to start from pits, and it put us a lap down immediately. So I don't know what happened, but it seemed like the guys in the group pretty much understood that, like, even though it's showing blue flag and all that, like, I'm not a blue flag driver. So they got that, you know. So luckily I was able to race cleanly with them and everything, and they understood I wasn't a lap down. So. But yeah. I can't believe Bob Nova lost it last to first.
I know. Very disappointing right at the very end, but a very dramatic finish anyway. Thanks very much for coming to have a chat with us, though, Sean, as always, and we'll I'm sure see you next week.
Yeah, have a good one, guys.
Thanks very much. That's Sean Dickinson in 10th place in the end, 11th rather, but we'll see what the race results say by the end of the day. Chris, that was as chaotic as you could expect it to be, really. The wet weather here at the Charlotte Roval, and as we heard from Jibo there, some drivers will definitely be hoping for it to come round again at one of the next rounds over the next 6 weeks, and some drivers will be hoping that's the only rain interference we get this season.
Yeah, I don't even know if chaotic explains that. That was pretty exciting to watch, though. It's covered quite a few races and nothing was more exciting than this one for sure, but a little confusing for us in the booth. But what I'm kind of gathering there is it sounds like everybody kind of understands that Dickinson won that race. Like you said, we're going to have to see how that shakes out. But it was fun watching him charge through the field. It was a lot of good battles all throughout. Just exciting all the way around.
Well, thanks, of course, to Chris and Biggles as well, of course, for being alongside me for this round of the Parabolic Companies J2ICS GT3 Sprint Championship. We'll all be back next week for Daytona, which is the first of our 2 Crown Jewel races this season. A 90-minute race as opposed to just 60. Same thing will be normal, like everything else. So, make sure you join us same time, same place in 7 days' time for that. I've been Ian Leary alongside Chris Murphy with Biggles behind the cameras here tonight from Charlotte Roval. We'll see you in 7 days' time for round 5. Goodbye for now.